Hey guys, so a little bit of housekeeping at the start of this video. I'm really sorry that I didn't upload a video last week. As I mentioned in a few of my recent videos, things are going to be really hectic around here for the next couple of months. I'm doing my best to keep up with everything, but I might be missing a few weeks here and there. And as I'm sure you can tell by the lighting and the background and everything in this video being different and terrible, I'm not in my usual place and I won't be for a couple of months. So I'm trying to find a temporary setup that will kind of work okay for now. I'm sorry for all the confusion and lack of uploading and everything like that. I'm doing my best. So on to today's video. So on my most recent disability discourse video, a couple of you asked me to talk about being immune suppressed and how to deal with that in the long term. I thought that was a really fantastic idea and something that I hadn't thought of doing before, so here I am to talk about it. For those of you who don't know, immune suppression is where your immune system is suppressed. Why would that happen? Well, there's a few reasons. First of all, some illnesses can just make your immune system weaker, but for me and for many other people, your immune system is deliberately weakened by medication. Why, you may ask? Well, my immune system is an idiot and it thinks that all of my joints are trying to attack my body, so it attacks them back and it causes pain. And essentially that's what an autoimmune illness is. Your immune system is just really confused, really lost, and starts attacking other parts of your body. Currently, the most effective treatments that we have for autoimmune illnesses are immune suppressants, which means that you kill off your immune system and try to find a balance between having enough of an immune system to live and having not enough of an immune system to cause you crippling pain and other effects that stop you from living your daily life. Basically, it's all just a balancing act. So I have been varying degrees of immune suppressed for 15 years now, and I've kind of dealt with it okay. I like to think like I'm still alive and feel like I'm pretty happy most of the time, so I think that I have a couple of little ways that I deal with things and things that I do that I think might help people who are newly immune suppressed, so I'm going to talk about some of those today. So the first and most obvious thing is to avoid getting sick if you possibly can. Some ways to do this are to wear a mask, like a surgical face mask, in super public places where you're likely to be exposed to a lot of random people. I often wear masks on public transport. Something to be aware of about surgical masks is that they're actually only effective until the inside gets damp, and then they can let through bugs and viruses. So be aware that if you are wearing a surgical face mask to try and protect yourself from bugs, it won't be effective for much more than half an hour. So either plan to wear them for short term, like for example public transport like me, or remember to change them really often, which is obviously a pain, but a lot better than getting sick. Also make sure that your friends are aware about your immune suppression and your co-workers, and just try and stay away from sick people as much as possible. That's what I do. Basically, like any way that you can avoid getting sick, do it, obviously. It might seem like overkill to other people, but it's really, really important because obviously when you're immune suppressed, small illnesses that wouldn't be a big deal to other people can be really serious for you. Another way to prevent yourself from getting sick is to make sure that you're up to date with all your vaccinations. I basically just ask my specialist what vaccinations I should get at any point in the year. Mostly I just get the flu shot every year. So that's definitely worth doing, especially if you are under public healthcare or healthcare for an autoimmune condition. Usually you can get your vaccinations completely funded publicly, at least in New Zealand. I don't know about other countries, so yeah, check that out. Vaccinations, great. Staying away from sick people, great. Surgical masks, useful for some situations, but remember that they're not foolproof. If you do get sick, or rather when you do get sick, because you will unfortunately get sick, go to your doctor straight away and follow their instructions really carefully. Most of the time you'll be put on a course of antibiotics and also asked to stop your immune suppressant drugs while you are on these antibiotics and while you're recovering. It really sucks because often coming off immune suppressants can cause a flare-up really quickly. I know for me it always does, and it's the worst, but it's absolutely worth it in the long run for you to get rid of an illness quicker and then come back onto your medication faster. If you don't come off your immune suppressants, you're likely to stay sick for longer, and then in the long run you'll be off your meds for a longer time as well. The other really important thing about following the doctor's instructions, always finish your courses of antibiotics. There's a reason that they're prescribed in the courses that they are, and it's super important that you finish these courses. Another thing about antibiotics that I didn't know until like 5 or 6 years ago is that the spacing at which you take them is really important. So if you're supposed to take an antibiotic 3 times a day, try to space that out evenly over 24 hours so that you have like the most even dosage that you possibly can. I had no idea this made such a difference, but apparently it's a really important thing, and no one ever told me until my GP mentioned it like 6 years ago. Another thing that can help you avoid getting sick is keeping yourself really clean. Now, obviously, I mean, everyone should have good hygiene, but it's even more important for people who are immune suppressed. A really good tip that I use for this is I just keep like those little mini hand sanitizer things just everywhere. I have one on my desk at work, I have one in every one of my handbags, one in my bedroom, one in the kitchen, just like wherever I might just see them and just be like, oh, I should use some of that. I just keep them there. I also get antibacterial soap, like just anything that can kind of help you very easily and very quickly keep yourself safer. This next one is something that I feel like I say in every single disability discourse, but it bears repeating. Get to know your warning signs and get to know your body. I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to take control of your health and to be hyper aware of what's going on with your body. For example, for me, I've got really good at telling the really early warning signs of a fever, because I know as soon as I get a fever, I really need to be seeking medical attention. The earlier that you can catch any kind of illness or sickness, the better off you're going to be. If you let anything spread or anything get worse, you might end up in a lot of trouble. So pay really close attention to your symptoms, because they'll be different for everyone, and they're obviously more important for you to catch than for people who aren't immune suppressed. Pay really close attention to your symptoms and how you feel when you're getting sick, and know when that cutoff point is when you need to stop just resting and like taking time off and actually go to the doctor and get treatment. This next one is something that I still struggle with to this day, but make sure that you give yourself time to completely recover before you push yourself back into work or school or whatever else it is that you're planning. It is so important to make sure that you're completely better, because relapses in terms of flus and viruses and things like that are super common, and especially if you've already been on antibiotics for them, chances are that you'll either need a new type of antibiotic or the antibiotics will be less effective the second time around. It's super important that you catch things quickly and deal with them properly before you start doing things again and kind of pushing your body again. I know it's really hard and it's so tempting when you feel a little bit better to like get out there and start doing things, and you feel like you've already missed a lot of time from work or school or whatever, but it's so worth it in the long run to take a big chunk of time off and just get completely better and sort yourself out, rather than getting back into it too quickly and then ending up really sick again. The final thing that I just want to touch on quickly is like flesh wounds and skin infections. These are another thing that you need to watch out for really carefully, because obviously immune suppressed means entirely immune suppressed, not just to viruses and things like that. Make sure that any cuts or scratches that you get, even if they're really shallow, make sure that you just always keep an eye on them, and if they start to look red or inflamed, or if they start to have any kind of discharge to them that isn't blood and they just look like they aren't healing up quite right, go to your doctor, go to your GP, just to make sure that things are moving along for you. I also keep a lot of antiseptic creams around, so I have like Dettol antiseptic stuff, and I have Savlon, just to make sure that I'm taking care of these things properly, and keep every wound that you have clean and dry and covered. Clean, dry, covered, antisepticized, just like all the things to possibly make sure that they don't get infected and nothing else happens with them. Just because, again, it's so much easier to take care in the first place and not get an infection, not get a virus, than it is to get it and then deal with it. Dealing with them, it means coming off your medication. Dealing with them means antibiotics. Dealing with them just means like a whole series of other things that we don't want to go through. So the more you can avoid getting sick or getting any kind of infection, the better. Okay, so that is it for my tips on surviving being immune suppressed. I realized that a lot of these were super simple and pretty obvious. Firstly, I hope that will help people who are newly immune suppressed and just perhaps give you an idea of some of the things that you might be able to do that are pretty quick and easy. But secondly, there really is no big fix for being immune suppressed. Unfortunately, it's just this kind of catch-22 of a treatment where you must avoid getting sick, but you also cannot avoid getting sick. So it's just kind of frustrating, really. But I hope that this gave you some ideas and also showed you that it is entirely possible to live a relatively normal life while being immune suppressed. Anyway, apologies once again for this new setup. I know it's not ideal. I'm doing my best, like I said at the start, and I hope you guys will bear with me for the meantime. Anyway, hope this has been helpful, and as always, leave any thoughts and feelings in the comments below, and I will get back to you. And until next time, peace.